Hey, Chris Lipe here with the Recording Revolution with how to choose the right mic. Is there a right mic? Are there multiple right mics? A few months ago, I was out at Blackbird Studios in Nashville, Tennessee with my good friend Warren Hewart from Produce Like a Pro and my other good friend Mark Martell, who sings Queen songs. He's famous on YouTube for the One Take Rhapsody. And doing lots of mic shootouts. Warren and I are sitting in the control room and he's singing through Queen songs and going from mic to mic, and we're making observations and taking notes. And we had, $300, $400 mics in there, and we had $50,000 mics in there, and we were comparing the various ways that these brought different things out in his voice. It was interesting and fun just to be in the room with those guys and to hear Mark sing over all this amazing gear. But I walked away with something. In fact, we all walked away with something. It doesn't really matter that much. It doesn't matter that much in the sense that if you are dialed in with other aspects of recording, you know your songs, you know how to deliver and capture the emotion in your voice or in your guitar playing or in your drum playing, the mics that you throw on the kit or the guitar or whatever, they just don't matter that much. In fact, as we were doing this, we took a break, and at one point, we all came into the control room, and we started talking about the Beatles and how when they would record, a lot of times they would be using whatever mics just happened to be around. And they'd, put that on the guitar real quick and record your part. Okay, let's move that over here, and let's record this piano line, and then, sing your background vocals there real quick. And it just didn't matter. They were in the creative mode, and they were doing things in a way that they didn't want to be interrupted and I got this idea. Let me find which mic is right for this. No, they just put the mic up and captured the moment. But as I say that, I also say, if you don't know your gear, as the engineers working with the Beatles did, you don't know what you can rely on to capture those moments faithfully. It doesn't matter enough to be really obsessed with it and go gear searching for a long time and spend tons of money. Doesn't matter that much. What matters more is that you know your environment, you're able to act on your inspiration, and you know the tools that you have at your disposal, and you know what they're good at and what they're not good at. If you want more help with your gear and harnessing your own inspiration, click the link below and join my free recording course, and I'll help you do just that on lots of different instruments, not just voice. All right. Tip number 1 when considering what the best mic might be for a particular situation. What is your room and noise situation like? Do you have a treated room? Something that when you make a louder noise or play your acoustic guitar or your snare or sing loudly, does the room interact in ways that you can hear with your program material, with the stuff that you're trying to record? If it does, you could spend all sorts of money on a condenser microphone and it's not going to sound right. Your room being tamed that it does not react in adverse ways to your program material, that is going to be the only thing that's going to help any condenser microphone or a really sensitive dynamic microphone thrive in your recordings. I've seen this so many times. People spend even a mild amount of money or a ton of money on a nice microphone to record their voice or some other acoustic instrument, and they put it in their untreated bedroom. They think, this sounds good enough. I've got a nice mic. It should be fine. And they can't get it right. And so rather than looking at these other factors, they end up spending more money on different mics. But it's futile if you don't understand your environment. So know your environment. That's going to help you choose the right microphone. Second, know your program material. Is what you're recording really dynamic, both in terms of frequency response and volume? If it is, a dynamic microphone will have an easier time capturing the energy of the recording without accentuating or even exaggerating the dynamic effect of these highs and lows, both dynamically and frequency related. In other words, dynamic microphones tend to have this almost built-in sense of compression because they're slightly less responsive. A lot of people think, oh, wow, I've got all sorts of dynamics. I want to capture this sound in the most true way possible. And then they realize that the mic that they have is actually too sensitive. There's a reason why the Shure SM7B, the Shure SM58, and the Shure SM57, although not expensive microphones, are used so frequently in live and recorded settings, and they sound great. Albums that you've listened to, that you love, and have amazing sounding sounds, both vocals, drums, and guitars, were recorded with the three mics, some almost exclusively with the three mics that I just mentioned. Those are all low-cost dynamic microphones. Now, yes, you can have a really expensive condenser microphone or a mid-level condenser microphone like the one I'm talking into and use lots of compression and EQ and things to get both the definition, assuming your room is treated correctly, and tame it with post-processing or input front-end processing like compression and EQ and limiting. But it doesn't mean that the dynamic microphone won't cut it. It's about the whole signal chain. You don't have to spend a ton of money if you understand that dynamic microphones do a pretty good job of taming some things that you'd have to work harder at taming if you were using a more expensive mic. Just understanding this is going to help you in your decision when you're collecting microphones or choosing a mic for a particular job. And here's my third tip, and this probably is the most important, and it's based on the long amounts of hours that I've spent doing mic shootouts, whether that was with my time at Sweetwater when I worked there and I had access to everything, or even when I was working with Warren and Mark at Blackbird Studios. Don't do mic shootouts. That's not the best way to find a mic. The best way is to do a little bit of research based on the first two tips I gave you, which one you might want to try, and then get one mic, borrow it, buy it on a return policy basis, and really dig in to how you can use this one microphone in multiple situations. What sorts of compensation do you need to make so that this mic fits your needs? Whether it's in-the-box plugins, EQ, compression, whether it's treating your room in certain ways. Try one at a time. If you can get a microphone that is reasonably comfortable to use, whether it's one of the Shures that I mentioned, or whether it's a lower cost Audio-Technica mic, or even some of these Mojave microphones are great and they're not that expensive. If you can really embrace one microphone and put it through its paces, rather than having lots of microphones with one type of program material, you will learn how that mic responds and find out if it's the right mic for you. So, don't do mic shootouts. Embrace one microphone at a time and experiment with all the other factors that you have in your recording studio and the different types of programs, and experiment with it. I strongly recommend not doing this with 2 mics or 3 mics. Just one! Then you're not comparing as much as you are diving in and learning how this piece of gear inspires your creativity. And yes, I'm sure in how I said that last bit, you can start thinking about how this applies to other types of gear in your studio. How does that one thing inspire your creativity?